Activists on the Missouri campus outraged at the media coverage of the terrorist attack in Paris, at least some of them. Demonstrators from Black Lives Matter tweeting their anger over the weekend. One saying, quote, "Interesting how the news reports are covering the Paris terrorist attacks, but said nothing about the terrorist attack at Mizzou." Well, now it's a terrorist attack, is it? Joining us, the Blaze TV News anchor, Amy Holmes. Amy, good to have you here. Democratic strategist, Hank Scheinkoff. Hank, let me start with you.
Sure.
What would these people be thinking about in Missouri? I mean, to say such a thing about that awful terrorist attack.
They obviously have high needs for antipsychotic drugs. People have everything out of proportion now. They don't understand what's important, what it means, because there's this idiotic sense about death not being as important as it should be. This is about death. This is about the American way of life and the protection of this country. And the folks in Missouri really don't see that at all. They see something very different.
And the Black Lives Matter, I mean, it has become a caricature of itself.
It absolutely has. When I saw those tweets, my reaction was how to discredit yourself in 140 characters. I mean, this is outrageous that they would be the cry bullies saying we're not getting the attention for our grievances when the world is mourning the deaths of 129 innocent people whose lives are over. They are dead and gone because of terrorists shooting them up. And if you read the stories of heroism that night, it's incredibly moving.
The president's response, which is to say that his strategy is working, Hank, that he will not change and it will work at some point undefined by this president.
The strategy is not working. This country is a great risk. The diplomatic moves have not worked. And a matter of fact, they've given terrorists throughout the world the ability to believe that this country is weak and incapable of putting together the economic, political and military strategy to defend itself and to manage its treaty obligations throughout the world. Not good, because what it means is that the weakness will breed another attack. The question is when and where in this country.
President Hollande standing up for the French people, declaring war in the midst of immense pain and just tragedy. By contrast, the President of the United States saying this is a setback. Could there have been a more glaring difference?
No, and it's disgraceful, and I, like Hank, am embarrassed for our president that he is disgracing all of us with this reaction. If you remember, he didn't go to Paris after the Charlie Hebdo attacks, massacre, to show solidarity with the French and world leaders who were assembled. Angela Merkel, David Cameron were all there. Our president was not. And today, for the moment of silence, those G20 summit leaders all around a table, the Turkish prime minister leading the moment of silence, our president was late. Our president was late, Lou. How disgraceful and embarrassing is that to the American people?
And Hank, an issue you and I have talked about and reported and analyzed for more than a decade. Radical Islam, radical Islamists, and 3 Democratic presidential candidates refuse to use the expression.
Hillary Clinton needs to pray that the Republicans nominate someone who's really crazy, because then it won't matter. But if they don't, that quote and that failure to respond to the present moment will be very, very, very painful for her in elections throughout the country, particularly in marginal states where people serve in the military and give up their lives and give up their sons and daughters to fight for this extraordinary nation.
Amy, that debate, producing at least some glimpses of who would possibly lead our country. The idea that they could not say radical Islamist. What is your reaction to that?
Well, there's that, and there's also a Democratic contender for commander-in-chief blaming terrorism on global warming. The senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, actually tried to make this completely ridiculous connection between global warming, droughts, and terrorists in Paris gunning down innocent people. Of all of the reactions to the terrorist attacks, his might be the most ridiculous.
You know, I think all of the algorithms of the left are coming together in one giant implosion here, and just in time for the 2016 elections. I mean, on every front. They're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong.
Well, what's worse, Lou, than being wrong, and you know this, is being afraid and knowing you're telling a lie and won't stop telling it. That's the worst.
To Bernie Sanders' credit, I think he actually does believe the global warming theory.
He can't believe that. That's too far out.
It's so absurd.
No, you're giving considerable credit. It's interesting that that this many governors, we're at 21 governors now saying no to these Syrian refugees.
That's right.
And they have a great deal of reason, common sense, judgment, and a sense of responsibility as you look at pictures of those refugees moving into Europe. And we're told by the FBI director that terrorists, if they're not in a database, they're not going to make it. People forget the Syrian government isn't on the side of the United States. They have no interest.
We don't have
in
a database. The FBI director said we don't have one.
Amy Holmes, good to have you here. Hank Scheinkoff, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it, folks. In our online poll, 96% of our viewers said the world's only superpower lacks the political will to secure our borders and to deport millions of illegal immigrants. In the face of a global war on terror, we are wide open. Quickly, a comment or two. Betty tweeted out, Black Lives Matter is shameful to say the least. All lives matter. Adrian commented, we need more governors to just say no to these refugees. Well, you got 21 of them. That's it for us. Thanks for being with us. House Armed Services Committee member Congressman Randy Forbes and John Bolton among our guests. Good night from New York.